I'm Emma and welcome to your audio described full body Pilates workout. Do remember that even if you're not blind or visually impaired, you can follow along with this workout because it just means you can put your phone or your screen to the side and just listen and follow along. So this is actually part 2 of the little mini series. So if you haven't done part 1, I'm going to leave it at the top of the screen now so you can go do that, and in the description down below as well, where we work on seated and on our back. And today we're going to be working on our side and on our front, and you can always put the whole routine together if you want to as well. So when you're ready, grab your mat and let's get ready to go. Okay, so we're going to be going onto our side and we're going to be coming up onto our forearms. So just bring yourself onto your side, and I just want you to rest, like I said, on your forearms, so elbow to the hand. If this is really uncomfortable, please lower yourself all the way down to the mat, and you can do a different option. Okay, but if you can, elbow is underneath your shoulder. Make sure you're not leaning the shoulder over the elbow or behind it. We want to make sure it's nice and stacked on top of that elbow. The forearm is just reaching out in front of you, fingertips reaching nice and long in front of you, palm is down. Make sure here your waist is nice and lifted so you're not just slumping down. That's really important, again, to not put pressure in the shoulder. So with the legs, and actually you can line yourself up, so you can line your elbow, your hips and your feet with the back of the mat in a second as well. But your legs are going to be pretty much in right angles. So you're going to have your knees bent, feet tucked behind you, and the hips or the legs are completely stacked on top of each other. So bent knees, feet tucked behind you in nice right angles. So just check your hip bones. Both hip bones should be facing forwards. Hips, like I said, completely stacked on top of each other. We're not rolling back, we're not rolling forwards or away. You need to maintain that so we are getting the most out of the exercise. Now your top arm that is nice and free can rest on your leg, on your hip, or you can just rest it in front on the mat for a little bit of support. Just make sure your shoulder isn't rounding forwards. Let's have good posture. Shoulder down and away from the ears. So we're going to be working into our waist and our upper body. So when you're ready, take a deep breath in. On the exhale, we're going to take that weight through the core into the upper body as we start to lift our hips up and off of the mat, up to the ceiling. So make sure you're not falling forward, you're not going back. And then slow to lower back down, nice and controlled. Deep breath in. Exhale, lifting up. Good. Placing that top arm in front if you need a little bit of support, and slow to lower down. Otherwise, let's start to add the arm. So this time, the arm that's nice and free, as you take a deep breath in and exhale, lift the hips, you're going to take that free arm up and over your head. And then you're going to take it up to the ceiling and swish it back down as you lower your hips down. So it's just swishing up as you lift, swishing down as you come back down. Let's go again. Lift the hips, the arm goes up and out to the side, reaching towards your feet, up and over your head, and you can start to bend your upper body into like a rainbow shape. So you're lifting your waist and your hips up higher, bring the arm back up towards the ceiling, and lower the arm down as you lower through the hips. Let's go a couple more times. Now, if you want to make it more challenging, I'm not going to do that today because I'm feeling a little bit, I've done a little bit too much. I'm going to stay here, but if you want to straighten your top leg out and even straighten your bottom leg and just tuck it behind so the foot of the top leg is crossed over the bottom leg, you can do this side bend with the leg straight, and it's a lot more challenging as well. But make sure you're keeping that control. Let's go again 2 more times. We lift up, arm goes over the head. See if you can create a rainbow shape with the body, an arch up and over, lifting your hips and your waist towards the ceiling, slow to come back down. And let's do that one more time. Swish the arm up, lift your hips, take the arm up and over the body, and then slow to lower back down. Lovely. When you're ready, lower yourself all the way down to the mat, reaching both legs nice and long. So tuck the other underneath arm underneath wherever it's comfortable. You may want the arm straight, slightly in front, tucked under to support the head. It's up to you, but just make sure your shoulder is nice and stable. Just reaching both legs nice and long out to the side. So reaching to the other end of the room, nice and long. And if you find you're a little bit wobbly here, just slightly bend your underneath leg to give you a little bit of support. Okay, with your top arm, again, it can rest in front, placing the palm down onto the mat for a little bit of support, or it can be rested on your leg by your side. Again, shoulder away from the ear. Just make sure both hip bones, again, are nice and stacked and completely facing towards the front. And just lift your waist to the waist that is nearest to the mat. Lift that up and away from the mat so you're really engaging your core. Okay, so nice lengthened spine. So taking a deep breath in. On the exhale, we're just going to start to lift our top leg up and away from the bottom leg, just a tiny, tiny bit. And then slow to lower back down. So again, we're moving right from the hip joint. Deep breath in. Exhale, hover that top leg just up to about hip level and slow to lower back down. Let's go with the breathing. Deep breath in. Exhale, lift that top leg up. Let's take a deep breath in as we hold. Exhale, lower the leg down. And let's do that one last time, lifting the leg up just to about hip level and come back down. Lovely. This time we're going to be running our toes up the leg. So deep breath in. On the exhale, start to draw your toes up the bottom leg and slightly turn the leg out. So your hips are opening slightly, and then slowly as you run the toes back down the leg and straighten the leg and the knee faces back towards the front, completely stacked. So go again, deep breath in. Exhale, the toes start to run up the bottom leg, and as they come up towards your knee, they don't go quite up towards your knee, the hips and the knee open slightly out to the side like a little turnout, and as you lower back down, they close again, and you stack your leg back on top of the bottom leg. Going again, so a little turnout. Exhale, run the toes up the leg, slightly turn the leg out, open the hips, don't let the hips fall back. Run the toes back down the leg, straighten the leg nice and long. And let's do that one last time, running the toes up the leg, slightly open out through the hip and lower back down. Good, let's add a little bit more to it before we do the other side. So we're now going to run the toes up the leg like we did before, slightly open out through the hip, and this time unfold from the knee so the leg straightens out. Tap the toes back onto the leg and then slowly run those toes down the leg, straightening the leg back out. So again, running the toes of the top leg along the bottom leg as you open out. Unfold from the knee, and this is great to work around the hip. It's great for supporting the knee, and it's great for back pain as well. This one, all those muscles are going to support your back. And run that leg back down. Let's do that one last time. We run the toes up the leg, opening out through the knee slightly. We unfold the leg, reach it nice and long. We tap the toes back down onto the leg, and then you run the toes back along that bottom leg, bringing the legs back to facing the front, and reach the leg nice and long. Lovely. When you're ready, we're going to roll onto our front before we do the other side. So rolling over onto your front, and you're just going to take your arms out. So just have your hands down on the mat. You can lock your fingers into place and just slightly open your arms out so your elbows are off to the side slightly, so you can rest your head down into the mat. Just make sure your shoulders aren't rounding forwards. Let's draw them back down your spine, and make sure that you're not tucking your head so much that it's really crunched in, but you're not resting your chin down either. Your neck is nice and long. So just reach both legs nice and long behind you, toes are untucked, and just make sure in this position, it's really important that we're not just sinking through the spine. So we want to slightly tuck our pelvis under, pull the hip bones in towards us, and use those core muscles so we're not sinking down into the lower back. Okay, so taking a deep breath in. On the exhale, I just want you to hover. I'm going to lift my head so you can hear me. Hover your right leg up and off of the mat, reaching it nice and long. and lower down. Switch to the other leg. So we're lengthening and lifting the leg right from the top of the hip up towards the other end of the room and lower down. So it's more about length than it is height. Really small movement, lengthen, slightly lift the leg. Don't transfer the weight into the other leg. Lower that leg down, switch to the other side, reach. Let's do that a few more times on each side. Now if you want to, try to come up a little higher through the upper body. So you're really pressing down into the arms and you're looking a little further than the end of your mat. So you're not looking straight up, you're not tucking under, you're nice and lengthened. And just see if you can keep your upper body lifted, shoulders away from the ears, and lengthen and lift through each leg without sinking into your lower back. Just keep switching from right to left, lengthening and lifting, and lower down. One more time each side. And lengthen and lift. Good. This time, again, you can be slightly more lifted or lower your head down. We're going to pick the foot up and push or bend at the knees so the foot comes in towards your glutes and lengthen back down. Pick up through the other leg. So we bend at the knee, bring in the foot in towards your glutes and lower back down. And you can point or flex the foot. So just imagine you have a balloon rested on your glutes, on your bottom, and you have a pin on the back of your heel. And as you fold that leg in, you're trying to push that pin into that balloon just to pop it. Okay, so again, keep switching from right to left rather, through the legs. And as you come in, I really want you to work through the glutes, and you're going to feel this through the legs as well. Pushing into that imaginary balloon. Again, you may be up a little higher, lifting through the chest, or lowered down into the mat. I've got a nice click there. And just keep switching from right to left. And squeeze. And feel a nice little stretch here as well. Squeeze, feel this through the quads. And let's go one more time each side, squeeze. And folding in. Lengthen down, lovely. Take the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, coming into a cat stretch. So like I said, the hands are pressing down onto the mat, fingertips spread nice and wide. The hands are directly underneath your shoulders, and if this hurts the wrists, then please do go up onto the fists instead. Your knees are completely underneath your hip bones, hip distance apart, toes are untucked, and I just want you to scoop in and really press your back up to the ceiling, so you're tucking under, creating a lovely little arch, pressing through the hands and the knees, and then lowering down bit by bit from the tailbone to the middle back, to the head and chest. And let's go again. We tuck under, starting from the tailbone, tucking under, middle back to the head, coming back into a lovely arch through the spine, and then melting down from the tailbone to the middle back, to the head and chest. Good. Just sit yourself back onto your heels, stretching your arms nice and long, and just press your chin or your forehead, depending on flexibility, down towards the mat. Feeling a nice length through the spine and the arms. Good, and then walk the hands in, sit nice and tall, and let's get ready to do all that side work on the other side. Okay, so laying down, actually we're up first before laying down. Bring yourself onto your other side. Do make sure you're definitely doing the other side, because I've done that before and I end up halfway through realizing I've already worked this side. So we're back up onto the forearms, so elbow underneath the shoulder. We're not leaning in and over that shoulder or under that shoulder. It's the shoulder's completely stacked on the elbow. Palm is flat on the mat, fingertips are pointing forwards, waist is nice and lifted. Remember, the knees are bent so the feet can be tucked behind you. Hips are nice and stacked on top of each other. Hip bones are completely facing forwards, and your top arm can be rested in front or by your side. It's totally up to you. Let's start nice and small with those little lifts through the hips. Deep breath in. Exhale, start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling, making sure you're not sinking over your shoulder. And slow and controlled to lower the hips back down to the mat. Let's go again, deep breath in, exhale, lifting up, and slow to lower down. Now remember, if you want to start to add a little bit more, take your top arm, and as you lift your hips, swish it out to the side towards your feet, up towards the ceiling, and up and over your head as you bend, creating a lovely rainbow arch shape through the body, and then slow to lower back down, bring that arm back around. So again, the arm swishes out to the side towards the feet. As you lift, it goes up and over your head. You start to arch a little more, lifting the hips up a little higher. As you lower the hips, the arm goes back up to the ceiling and back down as the hips come down. Now remember, carry on with that. If it's not challenging enough, you can straighten your top leg nice and long and do that. Or you can also straighten your bottom leg so your top leg is just slightly crossed over the bottom leg, and you can do this side bend in that position where it's a little bit more challenging. Either way, we're going to go a couple more times. Deep breath in, exhale, lift. Great for the shoulder, coming into a lovely arch, and slow to lower down. The key is to take your time, and let's go one more time. We come up, we reach up and over, and then slow to lower back down. Good. Bring yourself all the way down onto your side. Last couple of exercises. So your underneath arm, remember, it can be lengthened out, reached in front, tucked underneath, wherever is comfortable, but just make sure your neck and your head's got a good posture. You're not tilting all the way back. Okay, let's reach both legs now nice and long, so you're completely stretched out on your side, bending your underneath leg slightly for a little support if you need to. Let's make sure our waist that is closest to the mat is nice and lifted, hips are nice and stacked, and just place your top arm in front if you want to on the mat, a little bit of support, or by your side. Okay, let's start with those leg lifts. So deep breath in, exhale, lift that top leg up and away from the bottom leg to about hip level, really focusing on length here as well, and lower down. And just notice as you lift that leg up and down, keep going as I talk, your waist is staying nice and lifted. Your hips are not dropping back or dropping in. Good, let's do that a couple more times, lifting that top leg, reach the leg a little longer, and lower down. And let's go one more time, lift and lengthen that leg up, and lower down. Good. This time, remember, with running the toes up the leg, so straighten the bottom leg if you can. You start to pick or run the toes of the top leg up the leg, and as it gets closer towards the knee, slightly turn the hip and the knee out into like a little opening through the hip, and then run the toes back down the leg and bring it back so the knee and the feet are facing towards the front. So as we run the toes of that top leg up the leg, we slightly open, turn the hip out, and then we run the toes back down and lower the leg. So the knee slightly turns out to the diagonal, your leg just opens so you feel a nice stretch through the hips, but your hip doesn't drop back. Let's keep going with that, opening out. And run the leg back down. Now don't run the toes too far up the leg, it doesn't have to be much to feel it. And this is definitely my side where I can feel it a little bit more as well. Okay, let's start to add on a little bit more if you want to, otherwise stay with this. So we're gonna run the toes up the leg, slightly turn out, just to where you can. We're gonna unfold at the knee, straighten the leg, tap the toes back down onto the leg, the hips are still turned out, and then as you run the toes back down the leg, you close through the knee and squeeze both legs back together. Let's do that another 3 more times. Run the toes up, slightly open through the hip, unfold through the leg, reach the leg nice and long, tap, bend the knee, tap the toes back onto the leg, and run the toes back down. So when we do that reach, only the knee is really opening. So we go again, we run the toes up, open through the hip, and we keep the upper part of the leg there and just unfold from the knee as we stretch out. We tap the feet back onto the leg, and then slow to run the toes back down that leg. And let's go one more time. We run the toes up the leg, we open out, unfold through the knee, stretch the leg out, tap the feet back onto the leg, and slowly stretch the legs out nice and long. Good. When you're ready, slowly bring yourself up to a nice seated position. Oh, you can cross your legs, sit up nice and tall, wherever feels comfortable, on your sit bones. Lifting nice and tall, lift the arms up and out to the side, up towards the ceiling. Nice big stretch for your spine, and then lower the arms down, back by your side. And let's do that one last time. Take a deep breath in, lift the arms up towards the ceiling, and exhale, lower back down, and you are done. So do make sure, if you haven't already, to click the subscribe button and the bell button down below so you don't miss any of my other videos. Do remember, please check out my other videos, because although they're not audio descriptive specifically, they are very descriptive. I talk a lot. So do check them out, because you may be fine following along with them. I'm going to leave a stretch video on screen now. Again, if you would like me to do a more audio descriptive one, please do let me know in the comments down below. Let me know how you got on with this, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Take care, bye.